Hello, Internet. It's time to read the Bible. July 10th, which means we're exactly a month behind. Yay. And let's start July 10th reading with First Chronicles chapter 9, verse 1 to chapter 10, verse 14. We're just going to try to do it as quickly as we can with an auctioneer voice. The family tree of every person in Israel was carefully recorded in the annals of the kings of Israel. Judah was exiled to Babylon because the Pierce people worshipped idols. The first to return and live again in the former cities were families from the tribes of Israel, and also the priests and the Levites, temple assistants. And some families from the tribe of Judah, Benjamin, Manasseh, and Jerusalem. One family was in the youth, son of Amid, son of Amram, son of Amir, son of Bani, son of Canaan, Perez, son of Judah. The Shilonites were another family returned to Shilon's oldest son and his sons, but they were also the sons of Zerah, including Judah and relatives of 690 in all. Among the members of the tribe of Benjamin who returned there with Salum, son of Jerusalem, son of Hedison, the son of Hanusa, Ibaniah, the son of Jerome, Ella, son of Uzi, the son of Meshkulun, the son of Shepard, the son of Ruel, the son of Ibnijah. These men were all the chiefs of subclans of the total 956 Benjamites in return. The peace who returned there was Jedediah, Jerim, Jachin, Ezra, the son of Hezron, the son of Mezra, the son of Zadok, the son of Mariah, the son of Hachub. He was the chief custodian of the temple. Another, the returning priest, was the son of Jerome, son of Pashua, son of Malachah. Another, the priest was Messiah, son of Adaliel, son of Ezra, son of Imran. In all, 1,760 priests were returned. Among the Levites who returned was Shemaiah, son of Hashub, son of Ezra's son of Hashanum, who was the son of Samaria. Other Levites who returned to the club included Bakbar, Eresh, Galal, Methaniah, son of Micah, who was the son of Zechariah, son of Asher, Obadiah, son of Shema, son of Galal, son of Jotham, Berechiah, son of Ezra, son of the gatekeepers were Shalom, the chief gatekeeper, Akub, Talmud, Arhim, and all Levites, they were all still responsible for the eastern royal gate. Shalom's ancestry went back to the Korah, the Espha, and to Korah. He and his close relatives of the Korahites were in charge of the sacrifice, the protection of the sanctuary, just as their ancestors had been supervised and guarding the tabernacle. Phineas, the son of Eleazar, was the first director of his division at the ancient times the Lord was with him. At the time of Zechariah, the son of Mesphaliah, had been responsible for the protection of the entrance tabernacle. There were 212 doorkeepers in those days. They were chosen from the other villages based on the general genealogies, and they were appointed by David and Samuel because of their reliability. They and the descendants were in the charge of the Lord's tabernacle. They were assigned to each of the four sides, east, west, north, south, and their relatives in the villages were assigned to help them from time to time for 7 days at a time. The four head gatekeepers, all Levites, were in the office of great trust, for they were responsible for the rooms of the treasure of the tabernacle of God, because they had important positions. They lived near the tabernacle, and they opened the gates for each morning. Some of them were assigned to the care for the various vessels that were used in sacrifice and worship. They checked them all in and out to avoid loss. Others were responsible for the future furniture. In the items of the sanctuary, they supplied such as fine flour, wine, incense, and spices. Other priests prepared for the spices and the incense. Mattiah, the Levite, the oldest son of Shalom and Korah, was entrusted with making the cakes for the grain offering. Some members of the Kohath's clan were in charge of the preparation of special bread for each Sabbath. These characters were all prominent Levites. They lived in Jerusalem at the temple, and they were on duty all out, and they were freed from other responsibilities and sticking with genealogies. Jediel, who was the wife of Micah, lived in Gibeon, and he had many sons, including Gibeonad, and all his daughters, Kisha, Baal, Nibber, Neo, Gedor, Hial, Jekaliah, Mikloth. Mikloth lived in the son of Chimeon in Jerusalem, and another of Neo was the father of Kish, Kish was the father of Saul, Saul was the father of Jonathan, Mephibosheth, Abinadab, and Ebishal. Jonathan was the father of Mephibosheth, Mephibosheth was the father of Micah, Micah was the father of Phethon, Melech, Terah, Azaz, and the father of Jerah. Jerah was the father of Elameth, Azamath, and Zimri. Zimri was the father of Moser. Moser was the father of Beniah, Ribish, Eliash, and Ezel. Ezel was six sons, Ezracham, Bashir, Ishmael, Shiari, Obadiah, and Hanan. The Philistines attacked and defeated the Israeli troops who turned and fled and were slaughtered in the slopes of Mount Gibeah. They caught up with Saul and his three sons, Jonathan, Abinadab, and Methuselah, and killed them all. Saul had been hard pressed with heavy fighting all around him. When the Philistines arrived, Archer shot and wounded him. He cried out to his bodyguard, "Quick, kill me with your sword before these uncircumcised heathen captain can torture me." But the man was afraid to do it, so Saul took his own sword and fell on it against its point. And it pierced his body. And then the bodyguard, seeing that Saul was dead, killed himself in the same way. So Saul and his three sons died together. The entire family was wiped out in one day. Then the Israelis at the valley below the mountain heard that the troops had been routed when Saul and his sons were dead, they abandoned their cities and fled. And the Philistines came and lived in them. When the Philistines went back the next day, they stripped the bodies of the men, killed in action to gather the booty from the battlefield. They found the bodies of Saul and his sons, so they stripped off Saul's armor and cut off his head, and then they displayed them throughout the nation and celebrated the wonderful news before their idols. They fastened his armor to the walls of the temple of gods and nailed his head to the wall of the Dagon's temple. Oh, when the people of Gilead heard what the Philistines had done to Saul, their heroic warriors went out to the battlefield and brought back his body and the bodies of the 30 sons, and then they burned them beneath the oak tree of the Jabesh and mourned and fasted for 7 days. Saul died for his disobedience to the Lord and because he had consulted a medium and did not ask the Lord for guidance. So the Lord killed him and gave him the kingdom to David, the son of Jesse. All right, we're not going to do that for Acts because it's not mostly lists. I say, we will do a, a southern plant like a foghorn leghorn accent. So for Acts chapter 27, verse 21 through 44. No one, I say no one, had eaten for a long time. But finally, Paul called the crew together and said, Men, you should have listened to me in the first place and not left the fair havens. You would have avoided all this injury and loss. But cheer up. Not one of us will lose our lives, even though the ship will go down. For last night, an angel of the God to whom I belong and whom I serve stood beside me and said, Don't be afraid, Paul, for you will surely stand trial before Caesar. What's more, God has granted you request and will save the lives of all those sailing with you. So take courage, for I believe God. It will be just as he said, but he will be shipwrecked, but we will be shipwrecked on an island. About midnight on the 14th night of the storm, as we were being driven to and fro on the Adriatic Sea, the sailors suspected land was near. They sounded and found 120 feet of water below them. A little later, they sounded again and found only 90 feet. At this rate, they knew they would soon be driven ashore. Fearing rocks along the coast, they threw out 4 anchors from the stern and prayed for daylight. Some of the sailors planned to abandon the ship and lowered the emergency boat as though they were going to put out anchors from prow. But Paul said to the soldiers and commanding officers, You will all die unless everyone stays aboard. So the soldiers cut the ropes and let the boat fall off. As the darkness gave way to the early morning light, Paul begged everyone to eat. Yet you haven't touched your food for 2 weeks, he said. Please eat something now for your own good, for not a hair on your heads shall perish. Then he took some hardtack and gave thanks to God before them all, and broke off a piece and ate it. Hardtack's horribly crumbly and unpleasant from what I understand, but it lasts a long time, so it's the standard for sailing missions. Anyway, suddenly everybody felt better and began eating. All 276 of us, for that is the number we had aboard. After eating, the crew lightened the ship further by throwing all the wheat overboard. When it was day, they didn't recognize the coastline, but noticed a bay with a beach and wondered whether they could get between the rocks and be driven up onto the beach. They finally decided to try, cutting off the anchors and leaving them in the sea. They lowered the rudders, raised the foresail, and headed ashore. But the ship hit a sandbar and ran aground. The bow of the ship stuck fast, while the stern was exposed to the violence of the waves and began to break apart. The soldiers advised their commanding officer to let them kill prisoners, lest any of them swim ashore and escape. But Julius wanted to spare Paul, so he told them no. Then he ordered all who could swim to jump overboard and make for land, and the rest to try for it on planks of debris from the broken ship. So everyone escaped safely to shore. Now we move to Psalms chapter 8, verses 1 through 9. Lord our God, the majesty and glory of your name fills all the earth and overflows the heaven. You have taught the little children to praise you perfectly, made an example Shame and silence your enemies. When I look up into the night sky and see the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars you have made, I cannot understand how you can bother with mere puny man to pay any attention to him. And yet you have made him only a little lower than the angels and placed a crown of glory and honor upon his head. You have put him in charge of everything you made. Everything is put under his authority, all sheep and oxen and wild animals too, the birds and fish and all the life in the sea. O Jehovah, our Lord, the majesty and glory of your name fills the earth. Now we move on to Proverbs chapter 18, verse 23 through 24. The poor man pleads, and the rich man answers with insults. Yes, there are friends who pretend to be friends, but there's a friend who sticks closer than a brother. That's the Lord. All right. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed and were edified by this reading. And as always, God bless.